your priority? Focusing on followers or engagement? What is it that you keep a closer eye?
I think engagement first and then followers, because it's important to create a connect. And once you create that connect, you can expand. But if you miss out on, connecting with your audiences, building that emotional connect with the audience, I think that is somewhere then it goes against my principles of building a brand.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of ET Brand Equity Digiplus Dialogues. Today we have with us co-founder and head of marketing, mCaffeine, Vaishali Gupta, who will take us deep into the nuances of influencer marketing. mCaffeine is a personal care brand that is eyeing a revenue of 700 crore by the next fiscal. It is expanding into global market and urges people to get addicted to the good in caffeine. Thank you, Vaishali, for joining us. So before we go deep into the topic of our discussion today, which is, tenets of building a successful influencer marketing strategy, I would like to know from you, I'll take you back to June 2022. That's when you launched your big campaign, and we all reported on your campaign featuring Alia Bhatt, was then the number one actress probably in India. So I want to know from you the process of finalizing on that particular influencer to drive the brand message that you are communicating. What are the boxes that she takes?
Got it. I think first of all, I think Alia Bhatt has always been on top of our list.
Mm-hmm.
But we were small, I think 5 years back, and as we grew, we were very sure that we wanted someone who connects with millennials, and that was one of the most important criterias. And I think Alia Bhatt is a millennial star. The way she connects with millennials, the way she presents and understands millennials, I think that was the first criteria and one of the most important criteria for us. And secondly, I think she embodies brand personality and ethos.
Mm-hmm.
As a person, she is vegan. She loves clean beauty. She's focused on self-care. And I think she's fun and bold at the same time. And that is what is mCaffeine's audiences are. So for us, I think these two factors were very, very critical while we were picking the face of the brand. And when we got to know that Alia was available in the category and was up for the brand, I think that was the time when we were very sure that we wanted Alia Bhatt. So that's how we finally went ahead with it.
But was there a short-term objective as well as a long-term objective that actually defined the association?
See, I think I have a very strong belief that whenever we are focusing on brand awareness, I don't believe in keeping a short-term objective for that. Brand isn't built in a day.
Correct.
It's a process, and you have to you have to breathe, you have to live the brand every day. And while we were picking Alia and we were planning to go big with respect to the brand awareness, our focus was always long term. And the long term is that we had to open up our doors to 100 million audiences. And Alia was the one who, would help us achieve that objective as a brand. So for us, the objective was from the day one very clear, and it was not short term. And I feel that since I think creating brands are difficult, it takes time. So we are very focused that we want to build it in the best way and slowly and gradually. We don't want to take any, short steps or hacks.
Correct. It's very interesting because you don the head of co-founder as well as the head of marketing, and I mean that's like keeping an eye on both the needles. Is that a curse or a boon for you?
I think being a co-founder, being the brand custodian, helps you have a very strong collaborative long-term vision for the brand, right?
Correct.
And we cannot deny that numbers are the hard truth, right? So the business objectives and the business plans give us a lot of sanity and clarity on how do we want to proceed and what should be our way forward. So I think that maps a qualitative aspect of brand building to a quantitative aspect of how a business has to grow and scale. So I think it has personally at mCaffeine helped us always quantify our subjective decisions, our qualitative decisions, and the decisions have been more better and have been saner for us. So I think it's a big plus for us that we have from the day one integrated our qualitative and quantitative learnings and worked on that to build our brand and business.
Correct. But are you like discussing ROI quite too early than other marketers would? Because you are the co-founder as well.
I think ROI is important because when you're growing and scaling, I think keeping a tap on your marketing numbers and what are your returns becomes extremely important, and I think that helps us take better decisions, right? If you don't have data, if you don't have technology, if you don't have a decision building layer, I think eventually after a period of time, it becomes difficult to back your decisions or even grow your decisions.
Correct.
So I think that has been a big plus for us, taking technology, data, and our brand building together. I think that helps us scale in the best and in the most efficient way possible.
Great. You mentioned scale. I mean, your partner and the CEO of the organization recently gave an interview where he said that the sales of the brand will ramp up to around 700 crore in the next fiscal from what it is around 300 crore. Now, how big a role do you think digital will play in securing this target that he has set?
See, I think we are a millennial brand and we are a digital first brand.
Yeah.
And that will always remain true to the brand.
Correct.
In this era, in this decade, I think people are discovering the brands and what products they want in their lifestyles. From Instagram to Quoras to even podcasts, right?
Correct.
All of these are means and mediums for people to help connect with brands, get to know about the brands, the products they want. And I feel that will always remain a big, area of focus for us. We want to stay close to our consumers, and if our consumers are on the digital platforms, then we have to be very heavy, and we have to be present and relevant on the digital platforms.
Absolutely.
Having said that, as we are growing, our retail footprint has to increase because the distribution becomes key aspect to the business as we scale. So focusing and making our audiences aware about mCaffeine would always be our first digital first approach. And I think expanding to more online channels and the retail outlets would be a business need as we are growing to expand our distribution network.
Absolutely. Also, another thing that we keep reading on is that marketing has now become synonymous to growth. And marketers are now actually identifying, targeting, engaging, as well as eventually converting into customers. In this cycle, what role do you see influencer marketing playing, or the collaboration play actually coming in?
Got it. I think I've always believed in a funnel approach to build the brand and the business. You need to make people aware about what the brand is. You need to connect with the audiences, and that is the first step of the funnel. Second is you need to make them understand why do they need our brand and product in their lifestyle so that they can consider our brand and product. And the third is we give them a reason to buy and help them convert for the brand and the product. Now, these are 3 steps, and I feel influencers are critical part of building our awareness and consideration funnels.
Okay.
They help us open audiences and they help us deliver brand and product. Or rather, I would say they help us introduce brand and product to their audiences. So I think for us, influencers are key to the top funnel and the mid funnel, which would be consideration and awareness,
Correct.
and help us open up our audiences. But still, I think for us, the digital platforms like Instagrams or Share Chats or Merge or Google of the world will be key aspects to help us convert the audiences. So
Okay.
we would want our influencers, our key opinion leaders, to introduce our brand and product to more audiences, and probably will be, I think, as we do it right now, we would want to set up a very strong digital engine to give them reasons and give them means to convert and get an experience of the product.
Great, great. And is that the target audience that actually defines the language that they speak? Because I see your influencers saying, things like get addicted to the good in caffeine. I mean, that's a very bold thing to say, because your addiction is never equated with something good. But your influencers pull them off. So is that a target audience, or that is what defining the communication? That is what defining what they are actually going and saying?
I think when it comes to how would an key opinion leader slash influencer introduce our brand and product to audiences, we keep it very open for the influencers. Definitely the brand, what the brand represents and what the brand tone is something what our social media and our website gives a clarity on, which is an open information source anyone can access. Now, for us, we feel that we are choosing an influencer because they have an audience which resonates with mCaffeine.
Okay.
Right. And for us, it is important that influencers speak to the audiences in their own language. Now, if they want to introduce the brand, saying it is since I'm addicted to good in caffeine versus, probably I love caffeine because, and that's the reason I buy mCaffeine. I think that is something is their personal choice, because they know their audiences best, and we are choosing them, or we are collaborating with them for their audiences.
Correct.
So I think we're very clear on that front that we want them to introduce the brand in their ways, because they know their audiences.
Correct. And this that you mentioned, that good in caffeine in India, and you have said this in your interviews in the past. In India, whenever we say caffeine, we equate it to either coffee or maybe Red Bull at best. But here you are actually talking about the good in caffeine in terms of personal care and healthcare. So is there a lot of information that you need to actually deliver to the influencer you are collaborating with in order for them to know what actually it means? And also, for our viewers, mCaffeine actually originated from an eye issue that happened to one of your partners. So it is a good healthcare or personal care product that you are putting out. So how do you manage to do that?
Education is the fundamental ground of the brand. We feel that, and especially personal care, self-care as a space is something which needs more education. In the last 5 years, I feel that consumers are more educated, more aware about what they want for their skin. But I think as a country, I think education is something which was lacking, and it started 5 years back when the personal care wave was aggressive and it started. Right. And I think that is the fundamental of how we've built our brand, and especially this category. So I think influencers are also our customers, and a person sitting and watching that content piece is also our customer. So I think education is something which flows from top to bottom. And now people know more about caffeine. Earlier, they didn't have an understanding, but the primary job becomes educating, because for us, for anybody to experience our product, we need to tell them what the product is. And that is the basic, I think, information we give to all our consumers at every level. Maybe may it be our partners or consumers or team members, anybody. But I think they need to know about the category. They need to know about the brand and the product. And I think education becomes the fundamental base for that.
Great. Last question in this segment. There is often this comparison between brand endorsement and, as you say, like collabs or influencer marketing, initiatives. Are brand endorsements more thought through? More, QCs are more, done more often at the background of the of the influencer or the brand ambassador that you are associating with. You give a rigorous check, Do you do the similar thing when it comes to an influencer, or is it just a one case at a time strategy that you take for collaboration?
I think it honestly depends on two factors. First, as I mentioned, that it is very important for us if our audiences are there or not. There are different genres of influencers. It can be a fashion influencer, beauty, lifestyle, travel. Now, if our audiences are what their audiences are, then it is not important for us to choose just a beauty influencer, right? We'll go all in because they have our audiences and they would want to describe, they would want to talk and introduce the brand in their ways. So I think the first criteria for us when it comes to picking our key opinion leaders is the audiences. Second is very important to us is that in case there's a specific narrative or a campaign which we plan for the brand to send out a message to our consumers, that is where probably a selection of influencers would come into play. And that would also again depend on the narrative and the audiences. So while picking up Alia Bhatt, I think our objective, our criterias were very different, because that time we were picking the face and voice for the brand to introduce the brand to next 100 million people. And for us, key opinion leaders slash influencers are our voices to help people understand what the brand is and what the product is. So I think that's the difference we keep while we are picking Alia Bhatt and influencers.
Great. Very, very well explained, Vaishali. Thank you for that. I will move to the next segment where we call it, stoppage time, which means the race against time. These are a few questions that I would like you to answer without giving much thought.
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you agree influencer marketing is a trend driven by the fear of missing out, or is it equally ROI focused?
I would say it should be brand focused.
Okay.
ROI, probably long term, yes, we should track ROI. We are very, very strong with respect to analyze the performances, the trends of our campaigns. But I think the primary objective becomes brand. They need to introduce the brand and the product first. And then,
but does it give you this fear of missing out that other brands are doing it, so we also need to do it, and maybe you get into it without a purpose? Like, I'm not saying specifically for your brand, but as a marketer, when you look at the industry.
I think sometimes yes, and especially in the beginning, a lot of brands do jump on because they feel that they might be missing out on that fact, that area of brand exploration. But eventually, at the end of the day, as we mentioned earlier, it's the business and we have to scale it, and the numbers cannot. And we can't just take a call based on a subjective understanding or a research. So I think over time it has to be focused on how the awareness index has to move and how ROI has to be generated. So I think both factors are important, and I would not say there might be initial areas of the brand where these calls can be taken, but I think at this point of time, the newer set of brands are much more alert and much more educated onto when to use and what should be the KPIs to measure the impact.
What is it that excites you the most about collaborating with influencers?
I think they're innovative and path-breaking ways to introduce the brand. I have seen, like, I personally enjoy different forms of content our key opinion leaders are creating, and it feels like probably we also haven't thought our brand in in the way they are viewing it and the way they are introducing it. So I think I love how they build a very unique form of content, very innovative, very personal content sometimes, to introduce the brand and the product. And that is something that just amazes me at every moment.
What worries you the most about collaborating with influencers?
I think picking the right influencer based on their audiences. So a lot of time, if you are working with a lot of influencers, but their audience is not our target group. So, for example, if I'm communicating with our audience is 18 to 35 pan India, we're a gender neutral brand. But if our audiences, if an influencer is probably talking to an older segments, then I think there might be a disconnect of what we are trying to put as a message and what is being received and how the impact is created. So I think that becomes a worry, but I think with a very strong analytical setup, eventually these worries or probably these questions can be solved easily. But apart from that, I think none, but picking the right influencer and mapping it to the audiences the brand has would be very important.
Correct. So are you like getting into, are you collaborating with an influencer who do not necessarily speak with your target audience, but maybe very popular is the worry. Thank you. Next question that I have, as you go in this expansion mode and you are expanding into other markets across the globe as well, is it important to associate with micro influencers? Maybe an influencer very popular in Assam as you go to Assam, or somebody popular in Kashmir as you go to Kashmir, or would you rather stick to opinion leaders who have a feel in Assam as well as in Kashmir?
I think both in certain proportions, because the macro influencers, or as you mentioned, larger opinion leaders, national influencers, would help a brand reach masses. They would open up a broader audience set for the brand. At the same time, micro influencers help develop a strong consideration, a strong connect for the brand amongst their audiences. As a say for I'm from Punjab, and I love Diljit, and I love a lot of other influencers and celebrities from my area, my region. I think I connect more with them. I connect with their choices, their lifestyle. So if that person is talking to me about a product, I feel there's an emotional connect, and then there's a rationale which that person brings, and I am probably in a better state to consider a brand in the product. Having said that, so for example, Analia Bhatt, who is describing the brand, people know about the brand, and people would start searching about the brand, knowing about the brand. So I think both of them are very, very important, and we need to keep a balance for the same.
Very great. Both are important. Is influencer marketing a cost-effective way to engage in India, or is it expensive?
I think it, again, as I mentioned earlier, that if we are looking at an immediate result, an influencer goes live today and you start getting sales tomorrow. See, that I feel it would be a short-term measure again to pick this area, pick this way of introducing the brand. I feel it has to be a bit more long-term when we are analyzing the impact of our influencers. And I think definitely it is very efficient for the brand, but we have to do it continuously, and we have to choose the right mix of audience and opinion leaders to build a stronger impact. I think so. Club it with the right mix and build a very strong analytics around it to understand how the performance is happening, and wait for it to happen. It will not happen in a week's time. At least 6 to 8 weeks has to be given, for your narratives and for the campaigns and for the word to spread out.
Your priority, focusing on followers or engagement. What is it that you keep a closer eye on?
I think engagement first and then followers, because I felt that it's important to create a connect. And once you create that connect, you can expand. But if you miss out on, connecting with your audiences, building that emotional connect with the audience, I think that is somewhere, then it goes against my principles of building a brand. I think the brand is built not just by share number of customers. It's also built by how well you're engaged and connected with the customers, how much customers are coming back to you again and again. And that is where I feel, engagement becomes very important. And once you get set that right, definitely followers are important.
Correct. Last question in this segment. Subtle, integrations, or do you want the brand to be right at the face when the influencer is introducing it?
I think subtle integrations, because as I mentioned, it's important for an opinion leader and an influencer to introduce the brand in their own language. And I would say we shouldn't be, scripting it for them. It's not something which would help build a brand.
Wow, that must be music to the ears of many influencers. Thank you. Last two questions in this segment. I know we are running out of time, but these are the last two that I have. If you have a magic wand, Harry Potter's magic wand, very powerful one, and you can fix one thing related to influencer marketing with that, or achieve a goal, what would that be?
I think proper technologies, because of the scale at which this space has grown of influencer marketing. I think building strong technologies to manage and increase the pace of execution is something which would help build this particular segment in a more structured, in a more I would say efficient way. But I think that's one of the key parts. And the second, as I mentioned, can be solved by technology, but also the pace of integrations. I think a lot of times the discussions keep on happening to and fro. Probably technology can solve this a lot, because again, you are on WhatsApps or you are on emails. If you have a technology which helps you integrate and collaborate easier, I think that solves a lot of purpose from management and execution standpoint.
A programmatic way of integrating your brands into influencer marketing. Wow, that's very interesting. Last question. There are many influencers who I'm sure will watch this video. What if they, what is the pitch that they need to make to you for you to say yes to them? They can be anywhere from the country.
Okay. I think I can probably think of one question, which is, if they can help me understand why would their audiences be interested in mCaffeine and consider mCaffeine, and what is the most innovative way in which they can do it, I think that would be the only piece I would be discussing with them.
Great. You are fantastic. Thank you very much, Vaishali, for your time. It was indeed a pleasure having you in this episode.
No worries. It was great connecting and lovely discussion.